So you got a Westerner shirt on, and
Yes.
what I want to know is,
Yes.
we live in the eastern part of the United States, and,
Yes.
and you're the Westerners.
Right.
Is there some place in California where there's a team known as the Easterners?
No.
Oh.
Welcome to Progressive Soup. My name is David Stevenson. Emily Volpintesta and I are co-hosts. We have Bob Rott Jr., who, along with being a guy that likes to wear Westerners shirts and,
Yes.
and apparel, also does a lot of great work for Comcast. And I'll let you explain, first of all the things you're involved in.
Oh, quite a, I don't think we have enough time.
Don't hold anything back. Come on.
Let's see. I do a lot of the car shows in the area. Besides doing stuff for the Westerners, I work to help out with the Connecticut Cruise News. I do a photographer. I've done numerous things in the area, so it's quite a bit.
Come on, there's more. Come on.
Well, let's see where to start.
So on your business card, does it say Bob Rott Jr.,
Yeah.
videographer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I've done videography since almost 20 years.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
You said, okay, that's what you've been
Yeah.
doing.
Like ever since
Okay.
they invented the camera.
Right.
Just about. I started out doing stuff for Westcon mostly.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, most of their games throughout their course of their seasons and stuff, from anywhere from basketball to hockey to their football, almost every sport.
And how did you fall into it?
And actually, by accident, I had gotten the camera as a gift, and it just started, and it just kept rolling.
Interesting.
And you started with the camera, but what phases have you gone through, besides all of them, of course?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone through everything. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I've met a lot of people in the past 20 years, from different walks of life. And
Like?
Yeah.
well, I mean, there's been people through political, mostly sports, though. You know.
Who are some of the most interesting people you've met?
Oh, yeah, a lot of New York Yankees over the years. I've met like Bill Dickey, played for back in the
Oh, the catcher, yeah.
yes, Joe DiMaggio, Warren Spahn. I mean, it goes. There's a lot of different. I would say I've met over at least 200 or 300 players in the course of 20 years.
That's huge.
And plus, doing everything else as far as from the veteran stuff. And,
Right.
Yeah, tell us about the veterans thing. I met you last year, saw you last year at the veterans ceremony on Veterans Day.
Right.
And you captured a lot of that on video. What do you focus on when you're doing an event like that? Do you have it pre-planned exactly what you're going to take each part of the day, or is there
It's
some
just
flexibility?
It depends on how long the event is, or if it's only a half hour, you only run a half hour. You try to do close-ups. You try to get into where everybody is going to be. There's a lot of different aspects to go into when you start lining it all up. You got to make sure the sound is right, and sometimes things can go great, sometimes things can go sour. I've had that happen.
So there's a lot of spontaneity in what you do, and that you have
Right.
to sometimes make adjustments for situations where you can't do what you'd like to do,
Right.
and you have to segue into something entirely different.
Yeah, because like up at Westcon, I had to do it from the balcony, and a lot of times I like to do it, like where we're close up,
Of course.
because it doesn't always work that way. I mean, when I do the hockey games, everything's from the crow's nest, we call it, and we have to zoom in on a lot of the pre-game ceremonies and stuff. So
you started out, you said you received this video camera as a gift, and
Yeah.
you just started doing stuff for personal.
yeah,
right?
basically it's just as a hobby, and then it just grew from there.
Okay. So people saw you an obvious talent and
Yeah.
said, "Oh wow, could you do some work for us?"
Oh yeah, I've
Right.
done a few. I had a couple business meetings that guys have, and they had, can you do us a quick 15 minutes? I said, sure. I have no problem. Why not?
So you could do corporate videos, you mean?
Yeah.
Or-
Well, I mean, if there's somebody's doing a presentation for something, and they wanted to have something where they could do it later on, I've done them.
Okay.
Now you do almost everything you do off. What is it? Off-site you call
Yeah.
it, where you're not actually in a studio.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you Do you ever take more than one camera in to do
yes.
something?
I usually take 3 cameras with me. On an average. You know, because you always like to have a wide shot, close up, and then I usually have somebody, if like we're doing a hockey game or something. Usually somebody's on the ice, to do some stuff.
Right.
To catch the action, like along the sideboards and things like that. You have somebody that actually do they actually stay in one fixed spot where they kind of anticipate that there's going to be action, or do they kind of travel around?
It travels from from different areas of the arena, whatever basically is going on. Like the one we just did this past weekend for the fire and police, we had a very interesting one that one of the players from the fire department proposed to his girlfriend live in front of 1,000 people.
Oh my God, that's so cool!
Yeah. It was a hockey match.
Yeah, during the hockey game.
Well, wait. When he did that, did she clock him or did she hit him over the head with a stick?
No. I think she was about ready to break down in tears. Yeah.
Oh, this is a professional hockey match?
Yes, this was between the fire department and the police department. They had this past weekend, and it was very well attended.
Wow, that's so neat. And being the person on the ice, can that be dangerous? I mean, hockey is a dangerous game.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can get hurt very bad, of course. But most of the time. Things can always happen,
Right.
And of course, that's the thrill of the game too.
The thrill of the game in the stands, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
so.
Have you ever had a camera that was damaged?
Of course,
Right.
I've had mics go bad during a matter of fact, I had a press conference where the mic just died. And thank God I had a backup camera. Otherwise, it's you don't.
Right.
You have 2 cameras running, so if one goes bad, at least you have the other one to back up. I've had cameras go out of focus. I've had, it's just weird things that happen,
Right.
So you really do, in fact, anticipate a lot of variables that can happen along your taping.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you could be talking. I mean, somebody could be talking, and all of a sudden it goes dead, or the tape would end, by accident.
Right.
Nothing's fallible. Anything could break during.
Exactly. I remember last time we talked a lot about the Danbury Fair.
Yes.
That you'd had.
Yes, I missed that very much. That was our Disneyland, as I call it.
Right.
We don't have that. It's been next year. It'll be 30 years since that's been gone.
Wow.
That is kind of interesting, but when people pass away, I guess we don't normally celebrate or observe the anniversaries of their passing as we do the anniversaries of their birth. But you're right. That's the thing that's in everyone's mind now that lives in the area, because not everybody's been here more than 30 years.
Yeah.
But to remember the highlight of something being here would be being the day that it closed for the last time.
Yeah.
Tell us about what are some of the things that you remember from the fair? I mean, I have a lot of recollections.
I remember, there was Carol Chase. She was a country western singer over there. My uncle actually played steel guitar for her.
Oh.
Back in the day, back in the 70s.
Wow.
And I remember, of course, all the fair parade. The fair parade was, I think, the best part of the whole fair.
Yeah. It was really very much the highlight.
And, of course, the main thing was the food.
Of course, yeah. And I have to think back to the guy that I worked for cleaning when I was in college, Tom Sharp, who used to have...
Yeah, Bob Sharp.
Otto? Yeah.
No, Tom Sharp.
Tom Sharp.
Oh, okay.
Tom Sharp. That kind of a big rotund guy, and I remember him clearly because he always knew. He knew how old he would be when he was going to die. Like 48 years old, I think. He comes down kind of the month of when he would die. And he retired and went off to man. He's probably still alive, 40 years later, 30 years later. But anyway, he would have these pies. He would sell these pies, and they would take Table Talk pies, just a standard box. And they'd take them out of the. They'd throw the wrappers away, and they'd put them in the oven, and they warm them up, and everybody's they're the best.
That's pie.
Oh my God, it's home baked, fresh baked pie, and he's taking something he was paying like 12 cents for at the time, and selling it for like 80 cents or something like that. It was like eight times over the what he paid for it. but the experience. The people,
Right.
people would come from New York in the buses, and they just relished the experience of eating a fresh baked pie
Right.
out of the country.
Oh yeah, and they thought it was where it was, right from the, there was the little pies and stuff. And,
Just out of the oven.
oh yeah, I mean, I used to love the cotton candy or the popcorn, the caramel popcorn.
Yep.
That really had a flavor to it, and you couldn't never find any place else.
And there's maybe the combination of the popcorn itself and the fact that the experience.
Yeah.
It's like picking apples at Blue Jay Orchards.
Right.
Was it like a state fair?
It was
Did
a state
people
fair.
Bring their animals.
Yeah.
Like the
Oh yeah.
chickens
They had
and the
they had
hogs?
everything. It was
Okay.
actually it started out as an agricultural fair back when it first started, and then it worked its way up into a regular state fair.
And that was like 100. Wasn't it celebrated like 100 years before?
112 years before they closed.
Wow.
Whoa.
So it's only been gone a quarter of the time it was here.
Yeah, but still, it was still our fair.
So that's because there still are state fairs in Connecticut.
Right.
I
But
wonder
The
why.
Big E up in Massachusetts
Goshen
too.
and
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the
Yes.
Bridgewater Fair.
fair. But it's still not the same as going to,
Right.
I mean, of course, we also went to races as well, and,
Right.
and from April until
The racetrack.
Until,
yes.
October,
Talk about
yeah.
the racetrack, because the
Oh.
racetrack has a lot of memories for a lot of people.
well, the races were, we still celebrate the races because I'm also on the board for the Southern New York Racing Association. So every year we have a reunion of drivers who race at the fair, at the race arena, I should say. Mm-hmm. And they're still, I mean, we're losing guys in numbers as every day, because I mean, guys are up in their 80s now who have raced over there, and and it's it's surprising how fast you don't realize how fast it's gone away already.
Last time you told us the story, and I want to hear it again because it was so good. The
What?
story about the guy that was up on a stanchion or something, and the cars are going around, and remember that? Where someone was up in the stanchion?
Ted Abbott. That was Ted Abbott was on he was the starter, and the races had just gotten going, and one of the cars had bumped another car, and it propelled the other car into the air. It took him right off the starter stand and killed him. That was in 1980.
Oh my goodness! He died instantly on the spot.
Yeah, he was. They pronounced him dead right on the track.
Fine. That's like
And
public
it's
execution.
and the weirdest thing is that right after it happened, it started to rain. So they
Almost like a sign from heaven.
Yeah.
The tears from heaven, bemoaning his passing, I guess.
That's horrifying.
And the other day, when I was down here doing some taping, Paul Baker was here,
Who is?
the voice of the race arena.
Okay, see, I don't remember that because I'm not a car aficionado.
Yes.
but-
Well, Paul did. He was the announcer for the race arena for over probably a good 20 years or more, and he's gonna turn 90 this year.
Oh man.
And plus, he was the one that started everything with Channel 10 News and Group W Cable, and of course his Comcast too.
Wow.
Yeah. Him and Abe and Jamie used to be on every morning.
I remember him to Jamie. Okay, on the radio.
Yeah. Well, they used to be on Comcast Channel 10. Well, at that time, it was Group W.
One of the other channels.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you had anything to do? You have the camera.
Right.
The cameras that follow you around.
Yes.
What about radio? Any experience in radio at all?
No, never did any radio. Never did any radio formats or anything.
Okay.
I just never got into that.
Right.
I'm surprised I never did because I do. I've done sports stuff.
Right.
I've talked with Bart Stern all the time on
LAD.
D. And I've never got behind the camera. Never got behind the just regular voice and talk. Which I'm surprised. It's maybe someday. You never know. That could happen next.
Well, if you do, you have to talk to
Of course.
Kevin Gallagher because our friend Kevin Gallagher, who does live interviews
Yes.
to people that are as far away as New Zealand,
Yeah.
and he does those interviews without the benefit of having a face to look at and to judge the person who he's interviewing, their emotions and what's going on, and the feedback that he would get from that. He has to do it strictly by the sound of their voice. And to me, that is just incredible, an incredible skill to be able to learn and refine the skill in how to do that.
Right.
But visually, it's you've got at least the two senses, but
Right.
when you only have the voice,
Right.
that's got to be really hard.
Well, I mean, Kevin's father was Vinnie James.
Right.
Who was on LAD for years.
Exactly, yeah.
That's where he
talked a lot
got it
about
from.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Now, another large part of your career you mentioned was working with the Westerners.
Yes, we're in the New England Collegiate Baseball League. It's all wooden bat league. All our players come from all over the United States. We have at least we have 12 teams in the league. We've been around almost the longest. We've been around 16. It will be 16 years this year. We have a lot of good people that we're all volunteers that do it. So we try to keep it alive. Our goal is to get players from our point of view to the majors at some point in their career.
And even though you probably don't get very many there, I'm sure that just the anticipation of somebody getting there once in a while is just incredible.
We had one kid last year who was signed right near the end of the season by Seattle Mariners. He went right to A ball.
Right up to the minor leagues? Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So what's the instructional league that's below that?
Right. Ours is
AA and AAA.
Yeah. There's single. Well, there's low A. There's like then there's high A, and then you go to AA, AAA, and then up to the majors.
That's got to be pretty interesting to be able to actually say you played professional baseball. I mean, how many people can say they actually played professional baseball? I mean, a quarter of a percent of the population, maybe.
Right.
To say
well, our pitching coach Sean Fesh, he played 17 years in the major, and not into the majors, but he played in the minor leagues for 17 years.
Yeah. I know Sean. I know his dad, Bill, who Bethel.
Yep.
Yeah. He was my gym teacher, Mr. Fesh.
Yes.
I went to high school with Sean.
Well, Bill was a scout for the Braves.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so was so was Sean. Sean does a lot of work with Kevin Berry for the Braves. Plus Sean was with the Bluefish for a while.
Right.
Yep.
And then, matter of fact, his skipper Tommy John will be at our breakfast June 4th.
Is that the Tommy John or the Tommy John surgery? Tommy John.
That's a Tommy John surgery.
What's that?
He had
elbow surgery.
This is interesting from a sports medicine perspective, which you know a lot about. He had you'll help me out with this, but he had an operation that had never been done before. They would never be able to repair a pitcher's arm up until that point, but they were able to do something. You have to fill in the gaps on this.
Well, they start if a pitcher is around his elbow and into his forearm. If you get sometimes they get like a I'm trying to think of the word, like a cartilage problem.
Right.
Well, eventually, what happens is if a pitcher pitches too long with it, it could burn his arm out completely.
Right. Yeah.
So it's it takes about anywhere from once they have what they call Tommy John surgery, which is along the elbow, and usually recuperation time can be anywhere from 15 months to 18 months. To have it come so you can come back. And
Tommy John pitched about 20.
He pitched from
25 years ago, maybe.
Let's see. He started in '64 and he went to '88.
Wow.
Yeah, he played for the Indians, played for the Dodgers, played for.
The guy that played that was David Bushner. I'm thinking of that played for basketball and baseball. Okay. But as you mentioned, he played for quite a few teams. And including the Yankees.
Mostly he played for the Dodgers and the Yankees. I mean, he won 2 World Series. So.
Yeah, he was in World Series for both teams.
Yeah.
So that's pretty unusual to be in a World Series for more than one team.
Yeah. I mean, and he's going to be our guest speaker, which will be, like I said, June 4th. Then that night we have our breakfast in the morning. That night we have the Danbury All Stars, which is we play different players from around the area, and then on the 8th we start our first home game.
We'll make a mention of that because that's a great event to have that every year, to have a professional athlete, especially one that has that medical background of having been involved in something brand new within the medical profession, the medical realm, to actually be and answer questions and be at an event like that. So anybody that's thinking about wanting to learn something about sports medicine or sports or baseball history or baseball trivia or the World Series, Tommy actually having pitched in World Series for two different teams, that's the place to go. What day is that again?
June 4th.
And what day of the week is that and what time?
It's Friday afternoon, Friday morning. It'll start at 7:30 in the morning. It'll be at the Amber Room.
At the Amber Room in Danbury, okay.
Yeah. They're also going to be, all our players will be, unless they're playing in like a college World Series, will be there. So, and plus our staff and all will be on hand as well. And we also have, and they can go to www.danburywesterners.com to look up more information. They also can see. We also have one of the best websites made.
So we don't have it on the screen though, but I want to point out again, www.danburywesterners.com.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Additional questions?
Okay. And you said you had one of the best websites. Who helped with the website?
Tom Spooner and Ray Shaw. They're both did a really great job getting the website up. And if you go to the website, you'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, you can see all the stats from players from what they're doing now in college and what they've done in the past. Most of the college players they play here with us from their freshman to their junior year,
right. And
then they go on to like the Penn League or the Cape Cod League.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had a lot of guys come through the system. We've had Jason Bergman plays now. He's playing now for Washington. We've had Matt DeSalvo played. He'll play here for. He was with the Yankees. Now I think he's with the Washington now. We had Matt Joyce. We've had I would say, from the Westerners, we probably have had over at least 100 players through the system. The number one draft pick, Strasburg, was playing. He played up in Holyoke.
Okay, Massachusetts.
Yes.
Right.
So, it's like I said, we have a lot of people come through the system, and we have going on some of the road trips. The road trips are a lot of fun.
I was going to say, what are the bus rides actually like? What happens on the bus? I mean,
he
mentioned that last time.
Well, you get to hear from different. It's great because you get to hear from their side, like what their background is from, like from their hometowns, like what it's like to be on the road,
Right.
And,
some people coming from small towns.
Some guys coming from big cities, It's a lot of fun,
Do you ever see people growing as athletes? Like that movie, The Blind Side. You have this athlete who knew nothing, and then they become superstars. Any stories like that?
Nothing like that.
Okay.
Not that I remember. But we do have. We've had a lot of players go through the system, and out of the 12, and we have, like I said, 12 teams in the league. We just have the newest team is from Bristol,
right.
And they were up in Massachusetts, and they changed. Teams change throughout the course of through the years.
On a long bus ride home, and I know there are a lot of long bus rides after a game.
Right.
What separates what you hear from a winning team from what you hear from a losing team? How do they?
I mean,
what's the personal approach that real ball players take to what's happened that they're digesting and thinking about?
Well, they're probably thinking, most of the time, well, we lost, we suck it up, and take it in, and next time we'll try to do better. Yeah. I mean, sometimes like if we're coming back home from like a 6-hour bus trip, you guys will be talking, some of the guys will be feeling bad because they've blown the game or had something happen, and we've also had the worst luck for is rainouts. You get to a game, say if you're traveling 3 hours away, get all the way up there, and all of a sudden you get into the game after not even the first pitch, and all of a sudden it turns into a downpour, and and the field's flooded or something, and you have to reschedule it, and it's a long ride back.
Long ride for nothing.
Yeah.
you ever find there's some players that can't handle the pressure?
Oh yeah, we've had that. I mean, it's like anything. I mean, you go through anything in life can happen like that. You can, a time of, that's a time of in their career, can happen. They make it. Maybe sometimes they'll get halfway through and they'll go right through it, and then sometimes they might not.
Right.
When ball players play in small stadiums, and sometimes they'll move up and they'll play in stadiums with many, many, many thousands of people.
Right.
What do they do psychologically to handle those big crowds? Because we talked to a lot of our guests about how they handle speaking in front of groups.
Right.
Where sometimes they'll look to the back of the room, and sometimes they'll act like they pretend like the audience is
not even there,
naked, or whatever. How do ball players handle that elevation up to playing in front of a lot of people?
I mean, all the pressure and stuff. You just drum it all out, and you just and you make believe nobody's there. You're just playing. You're just 9 guys on the field, and you take it in stride.
Is there a difference between heckling in small stadiums where everybody's kind of close to the action?
Oh, there's
large stadiums.
There's no difference.
It's heckling.
Heckling is heckling. I mean, especially with not so much with the Westerners as much, but I know with in the hockey realm,
right,
and especially in Danbury with Section 102, which they're famous for.
What's Section 102?
Section 102 is that is a section of the arena that heckles everybody, especially visiting teams, and they'll go through numerous anecdotes. We'll put it that way.
So there's an all-star team of hecklers too?
Yes. They started out back in. They came up from like the New Haven area, and they just follow the teams throughout the course of the seasons, and they'll.
They are the professional hecklers.
Yes.
Well, it's part of the visual too, because I'm sure the people in the stands are not just watching the ball players perform, but they're also watching what's going on in section. Was it 102?
102. Yes. When the night we had the the year before, when we had the Mad Hatters were playing, third game into the season, we had an all-out brawl. One of the players got checked into the box and I was filming that day. They got checked into the box. They started beating the crap out of them. Next thing I know, it just ensued into a massive brawl between all the players, and it just lasted for about a good 8 to 10 minutes.
So it's not like professional wrestling where it's all kind of contrived.
Oh no, it just escalated, and everybody was getting into it. The fans were getting into it, and it was just and the 2 coaches got into it. So it just.
So what happened? Did you call the police?
Well, no, they just you only got 3 referees on there, so they can't handle all that. So
not billy clubs, huh?
No, so they finally got under control, but the penalty box was full of so many guys they just couldn't. It took them like 20 minutes to try and get it all sorted out, and our coach was asked to leave, but.
Sounds like the 7th stretch of a baseball game.
Yes.
A little different though.
But what was weird is I filmed. That was on a Saturday.